Well, welcome to my shop again. I'm Earl. What I'm going to be doing today is trying out this new mother of pearl inlay material that I got from Woodcraft. Some new stuff they got. They got some big flakes and some little flakes. I'm going to be making bowls. I'm actually going to be making 4. This is one of them that I made right here. You can see the inlay material. It don't really shine as much as I was hoping it would. I don't know. Maybe somebody will like it. Anyway, I'm going to be putting that in. I was going to put some in with CA and some in with epoxy. But my CA glue is getting so old and thick, I'm going to have to either use it or throw it away pretty soon. So I went ahead and used CA on all of them. And like I said, I'm actually going to be making 4 of them. My wife's got her hands on the other 3, so I'm lucky to get this one to bring it out here and show. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. It's a simple little bowl, a base and a top. One of them's got a base and a ring in the top. Of course, there's segmented rings on the top. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I stopped by Woodcraft to get some of their new inlay materials, which is, of course, this mother of pearl that I'm going to use. They have thin ones, or small flakes and big flakes. I got one of each. I don't know which one will be best. I'm kind of leaning towards the small flakes, I think, but we'll see. Maybe I'll mix them. I don't know. Anyway, I got one of each to try. And I'm not going to just make one turning. I have sold a couple of inlays, so hopefully I can sell 1 or 2. I'm going to make 4. And what I did, I got rings that I previously had made and not used for some reason or another. This one, of course, was parted off in the last video I made. And this, of course, is Purple Heart I'm going to use. I got 2 here that's rosewood. I don't know. I can't even remember what project they were originally for, but I didn't use them for some reason or another. And I found this one, and it looks like it's Jatoba. I'm not sure, but it looks like Jatoba. I'm going to use that. And then for bases, I'm going to use 2 yellow hearts, a Hormigo, and a piece of curly maple. Now, I did have to make 1 more ring. I want to make some of them deep and some shallow. I don't want them all the same. Make them all varied. So I made a yellow heart ring. Of course, they're all 16 segments per ring. Now, if you don't know how to make a basic segment ring, I've got a video on it, 3 ways to do it. The half ring methods and then the single glue up method. So that's what I'm going to be using. And first thing I'm going to do is turn all the bases like I normally do. I'll put them in the cold jaws, put a mortise in for the chuck, and then put a ring to cut them around. So I'm going to be doing all the bases first. Oh, by the way, how do you like my new shirt? The club decided, being a sound president, that I needed a shirt, so I got a couple of these. See the back of it here. So, I'm going to get started. Oh, I'm going to try putting these in with epoxy and with CA glue, but I don't know about my CA glue. It's getting kind of old. It's supposed to be thin. It's getting real thick now. I don't know if I can use it or not. I'll find out. If I can't use it, I'll just use all epoxy. So, that being said, I'm going to start making 4 bases. Like I always do, I've got a mark here to cut for the mortise, for the jaws of the chuck. I've also got a mark to cut a ring around the edge, guide the bandsaw to cut it round. So I'm just going to cut a groove here around the edge with this mark, and I'm going to cut this out, cut a mortise out right here for it. I've got all 4 of the bases with a mortise turned in and got them circle turned round on them and all bandsaw cut round, ready to be mounted on the chuck. Next thing I got to do is mount them on the chuck, turn a dish in them, leave a flat area to glue on the segmented ring, sand it flat, then glue the ring on. I'm going to make, like I said, 4 different ones. A couple of them will be pretty shallow, these two. This one here will be a little bit higher, not quite so shallow. And this one I'm going to put an extra ring on it to get it deep. So this one here is going to be pretty deep. I want them all basically the same, but all different. So that's why I'm doing them like this. Different woods, a little bit, some of them shallow, some of them not so shallow. So I'm just going to take one of them, mount it on the chuck, dish it out, put a flat area, turn it around, and I'm going to glue on the segmented ring on it. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got one of them mounted. Now, like I said, I'm going to dish out the center, turn a flat area around the edge. I'm going to turn it around, make it round. Then I'm going to sand it flat, and I'll be ready to glue on the segmented ring on it. One dished out, turned flat, sanded flat. Now I've got the ring to go on it. Naturally, I've got the gluable surface, the surface that's been turned and sanded flat up. So I'm going to put a little glue on it and then glue it on to here. Yeah, I'm going to use Type Bound 2 on this. A little bit of glue on it. Bring it up, spin it around to smear out the glue a little bit. Make sure it's spread out real good. Yeah, that ought to do it. Don't have to line it up any special way, being as how it's going on a solid bottom. So I'm just going to tighten it down, leave it for at least 15 minutes. Then we'll put the next one up and do it. I got all 4 of them glued up now. And I started turning the inside a little bit on them. Now, I'm going to have to shape them and sand them before I cut a groove for the inlay. So I'm going to go ahead and just shape and sand out each and every one of them. Okay, I've got all 4 of them turned and sanded up to 400. What I'm going to do now is mark where I want to put the inlay on each one of them. Then I'll turn a groove. And on this one with a purple heart, I think what I want to do is put the mother of pearl in, and then put a thin ring on both sides of copper flake. I think that's what I might do on that one. So I'll have to put the mother of pearl in the center here. On these, I got to mark them, then take them over and cut a groove. Now I want to cut a kind of a dovetail groove to help hold them in. And if I cut it too deep, I'll just be wasting material. If I don't cut it deep enough, when I go to refinish it, I might turn it all off or sand it all off. So I got to be careful how deep I cut the grooves. So first thing I'm going to do is just mark where I want it on each one. And when I put it on the lathe, I'll extend the mark all the way around. I'll just put 2 little marks right now. I got all 4 of them grooved now. Got a groove cut in them for it. Now I haven't decided yet which would be better, CA glue or epoxy. And my CA glue, my thin CA, isn't thin anymore. It's awful thick, so it's just about the end of its useful life. Trouble with CA glue is the fumes. Once you put it on, you got to take it outside and let it sit outside till it's done curing. I got epoxy, but I think what I'm going to do is just got a piece of wood here. Purple Heart's got a big split in it, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to make a couple of little experiments here to see which one I think's best. I'm probably going to try and use the CA though, because I'm going to have to throw it away after this, and it ain't going to be much good any longer. And I haven't got any place close to go buy any new. So first thing I'm going to do is just play around a little bit and see which one I like better. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the CA. So I'll put a little CA glue in a groove and then put some mother of pearl in it. And we'll see how that goes. I just put a little bit in the groove, put some mother of pearl, and then put a little more mother of pearl all the way around on them. We'll see how that works. I got them all put in with CA. Looks like a heck of a mess, and it is. Every one of them. This one here was a little hard because of the angle, but I got it in. This one I got the big flakes on it. I don't know how they're going to work out, but we'll see. The rest I use little flakes. Of course the Purple Heart, now like I said, I want to put a border on both sides of thin copper flake inlay. Now I got to clean these up, and I don't want to take off any more than I have to just to get down to the wood. I'm going to use is a round carbide bit on a round shaft so that I can twist it and bring it up at a shear angle and just make thin cuts till I get it cleaned up. And to cut the grooves for the copper, I want them as thin as possible. I'm going to be using my 1/8 Olin tool. An Olin tool, of course, is nothing but a metal lathe bit put into a steel shaft. You can see this is a 1/8 bit I've got in here that I'm going to use for that. So I'm going to go ahead and try and clean them up on the lathe and see what I have. I got them all cleaned up now. Now I got to go back and fill any voids I got, which I've got a few voids here and there. I ain't got it all the way cleaned at the edge yet, but I gotta fill the voids first. And of course in this one, I put 2 grooves where I'm going to put copper in. So I got to go ahead and put the copper in these also. So I'm going to mix up a little bit more of I'm going to use the fine flakes and fill in the voids on these. Now I'm going to put copper in this one. Then we'll have to let them dry again. Well, I've got the copper inlay laid in. I'm going to have to let it dry. And I think I got all the voids filled, at least I hope I do. We got to let them dry. As soon as those dry, I'll very carefully turn it again, then we'll sand it down and finish it. So we'll see what happens. We'll just let them dry here. Nothing else we can do but just wait. Okay, I've got the voids filled. I've got the copper put in. Now I'm going to have to very lightly turn them down to where they're smooth. Again, I'm going to use a round carbide on a round shaft and turn it up where I can get a good shear cut. Now when I put the big flakes in, this one's got the big flakes on it, I put a little CA glue in the groove, put some flakes in, filled it up best I could, put a little bit more CA and then put some flakes over it. But for the fine stuff, I just squirted CA in one of my little plastic cups, put the fine stuff in, mixed it into kind of a paste, and put it around in a groove. And did the same thing with the copper. Just squirted some CA in, put some copper in, mixed it up, and then put it around in the grooves. So what I'm going to do now is finish smoothing these off. Very lightly, very sheer cut. And then I should be able to start sanding with some fine paper. Now this piece, I sanded it with 80 grit to get out all the tool marks and tear outs on it, with whatever might be on it. Then I made a quick pass with all the other grits, 100, 120, 150, 180, 220, 240, 280, 320, and 400, just up to 400. Now, what I'm going to do is take a round carbide cutter, and I'm going to make some really fine shear cuts across here till I get this all evened out. And then I'll probably start with about 280 sandpaper. We'll see after I get it cut. Okay, I've got them all ready to sand. And because I used a very light cut and a shear angle, I'm going to start sanding about 240, maybe even 280. That'd be coarse enough to do it. And I'm going to take them all the way up now. Take them all the way up to 800. Then I'll use the Scotch-Brite pads on them. Now it's pretty smooth now. I'm going to start at 280. Then I'm going to go 320. And I'm going to do the whole thing with 400 again. Then I'm going to 600. Then I'm going to use all the Scotch-Brite pads on it. First I'm going to go over the edge here with 280. Make sure it's all cleaned up, yeah. .320 over it. .400. Get it all again with 400. Get it everywhere again at 400. .600. Now I'm going to use the Scotch-Brite pads. First the green one. Then the purple one. The gray one. And the white one, this isn't too white anymore, but pick up the speed a little bit. See how that looks. Now, what I got here is about a 1 pound cut of alcohol, maybe a little less than a 1 pound cut. It's got boiled linseed oil in it. Not 1/3, no. Just a little bit, maybe 10%, maybe not even that much. But a little bit of boiled linseed oil. I don't want a whole lot because linseed oil takes a lot longer to cure than the shellac. So even though you rub it out and it looks like it's cured, linseed oil ain't really cured. Ain't really cured. Put it on slow. Get it good and wet. Now speed it up and burn it in. Now it's starting to get hot. We don't want it to get hot. Now I'll put it aside and let it sit a while. Is that shiny or not? Looks shiny to me. I've been letting these sit for a couple of days to let the boiled linseed oil in them cure. I hope they're ready now so I can turn the bottom. I'm going to use painter's tape, tape off the edge, and then put them in a coal job and turn the bottoms of them. I'll try one just to make sure that it's hard enough so that the tape don't mess up the finish. Got the edge tape, got it in the coal jaws, got the tailstock up to hold it. I'm getting ready to turn the bottom here. Ain't going to take much turning because I used a mortise. Could just as easily have used the vacuum chuck, but I'm going to use the coal jaws. I like the coal jaws, so I'm ready to turn the bottom now. Okay, all the bottoms are turned and signed. So there's 4 of them, all with mother of pearl inlay. Pretty easy project. Just cutting a groove and putting the inlay in. Like I said, I used CA glue, namely because my CA glue is getting really thick, almost unusable right now. Could have used epoxy just as easy. And 3 of them, I mixed them up in a little cup and then put them in, turned them off. The other one I put a little, which one is this one? I put a little bit of CA in, then put these big flakes in, then put some more CA on it. I think it works better when I mix them up and lay them in. But I don't know how that'd work with the big flakes. Anyway, there you have it. I hope you got something out of the video, and I appreciate you watching. I really appreciate those that subscribe. And if you got any questions, I'm going to leave my email address somewhere up here, down here, I don't know. And please come back and see my next video, and thank you.